হ্যালো দর্শক, আপনাদের সবাইকে শুভেচ্ছা জানাচ্ছি টাইম এক্সক্লুসিভ অনুষ্ঠানে। আপনারা জানেন যে নিউজিল্যান্ডে যে ঘটনা ঘটেছিল, সন্ত্রাসী ঘটনা, এই ঘটনার প্রেক্ষিতে মুসলিম কমিউনিটির এক ধরনের উদ্বেগ, উত্তেজনা এবং নিরাপত্তাহীনতা বিরাজ করছে। এর প্রেক্ষিতে অতি সম্প্রতি কংগ্রেসম্যান হাকিম জেফরি, যিনি অজন পার্ক এলাকায় বা সিটি লাইন এলাকার আমরা যে বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটি যারা আছে তাদেরকে রিপ্রেজেন্ট করেন, তিনি এসেছিলেন বায়তুল মামুর মসজিদে মুসলিম কমিউনিটির সাথে মত বিনিময় করার জন্য। সেখানে তিনি তাদেরকে আশ্বস্ত করেছেন যে কিভাবে তারা তাদের স্বাভাবিক জীবনযাপন করবেন, কিভাবে তারা তাদের ধর্মীয় উপাসনা এবং তাদের ধর্মীয় যে বিধিনিষেধকে পালন করবেন নির্দ্বিধায় এবং নির্বিঘ্নে। সেই বিষয়টি তিনি মত বিনিময় করেছেন। এই সময়ে আমরা মসজিদে তার সাথে বসে টাইম টেলিভিশনের পক্ষ থেকে এই বিষয়ে এছাড়া আরও কিছু বিষয়ে তার একটি সাক্ষাৎকার নিয়েছিলাম। এই সাক্ষাৎকারটি এখন আপনারা দেখবেন। Mr. Hakeem Jeffries.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you after a long time. Okay, let's ask you, why do you want to be Obama? Because I saw a report in New York Times. You don't want to be Obama.
Well, President Barack Obama is a singularly unique and historic figure.
Yes.
It was an honor and a privilege to serve alongside President Obama during the last 4 years of his presidency. He did a great job. We worked closely with him. But nobody can compare to Barack Obama. We all stand on his shoulders and look forward to doing the best that we can following his lead and the tremendous example that he provided.
Okay. But people have a lot of hope about you. People are saying that you are the symbol of a new hope in a divisive politics where you could call the people for unity, move forward and all this stuff. So people has a lot of hope, and there is a lot of reports in the papers as well that you could be the symbol of the hope.
Well, the example that Barack Obama set of a leader who tries to bring people together, right, as opposed to our current leader who's doing everything possible to tear us apart, is certainly one that I hope to follow. And it's an honor and a privilege to represent such a diverse community, including an important Bangladeshi American community that I proudly serve. And everywhere I travel throughout this country, I make sure that I mention the Bangladeshi American community, right, and it as a symbol of the example of what immigrants represent for New York City and for the country, and why we must continue to embrace our diversity, right, not criticize it.
So this is your third term you are running for the Congress. You are a congressman.
Just completed my third term.
Yeah, third term, right?
And
this is the fourth term.
In the fourth term.
Fourth term you are in. Is there any way you can just tell us a little bit your accomplishment since you become the congressman in that area?
Well, in the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy, which occurred a few days before I was first elected in November of 2012, one of the first orders of business I had was to fight to make sure that we were able to secure the federal assistance necessary to help all of our communities recover from that devastating blow that we took, mm-hmm, in the neighborhoods throughout the Coney Island Peninsula, including Coney Island and Seagate, as well as Brighton Beach and Manhattan Beach, all the way through the neighborhoods in and around Jamaica Bay that I'm privileged to represent, right, including Canarsie and Howard Beach. So that was sort of an important first task that I had, which is to work with the congressional delegation to secure billions of dollars in assistance to help people get back on their feet. And now we're fighting to make sure that we can strengthen our communities so that they're resilient in advance of, right, the next storm. Mm-hmm. The most recent accomplishment that we were able to achieve on a bipartisan basis was that I was able to serve as the lead Democrat in passage of the First Step Act, mm-hmm, which is criminal justice reform legislation, right, that was bipartisan in nature, signed by Donald Trump, mm-hmm, that will help individuals, mm-hmm, successfully transition back into our society. Right. We secured $375 million in an authorization to, mm-hmm, help create the types of job training, education, substance abuse treatment, mental health counseling, and skills development programs, mm-hmm, that can help make people productive members of our society, reduce recidivism, and in the process save taxpayer dollars, and also strike a blow against some of the draconian sentencing laws, right, that were put into place as part, mm-hmm, of the failed war on drugs. No one thought at the beginning of Trump's presidency
Right.
that we could achieve substantial criminal justice reform. But working together, Democrats and Republicans, progressives and conservatives, I was the lead Democrat. Doug
Right.
Collins from Georgia was the lead Republican. We came together to deal with our overcriminalization problem in America, and I'm very proud of that accomplishment.
You become the chairman of the Congressional Caucus, which is a great achievement. But if someone asks you, okay, this is not a new post, there was a few people previously as well, what kind of difference do you think you can make in Congress
Yeah, it's an
in
honor.
terms of the reform?
Great question. No, it's an honor to serve as the chair of the House Democratic Caucus, which places me fifth in line in terms of House leadership, working closely with Nancy Pelosi, who's doing a
Right.
tremendous job as our speaker. In my view, these are very challenging times with Donald Trump as president and Mitch McConnell and the Republicans in charge in the Senate. And as chair of the House Democratic Caucus, I want to make sure that as Democrats, we fight for the people, not for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected, but for working families, middle-class folks, senior citizens, the poor, the sick, the afflicted, and immigrant communities in New York City and throughout America on issues like lowering the high costs of prescription drugs. Our community should have to choose between putting food on the table, paying the rent, and getting access to life-saving medication, but we know that prescription drug prices are out of control. As chair of the House Democratic Caucus, we as Democrats are committed to that effort. We want to rebuild our infrastructure,
Right.
which includes helping to repair our crumbling mass transportation system so that people in all of the communities that I represent, including in East New York and Ozone Park, have the ability to get to and from work, to and from religious observance, to and from school in a more efficient and effective fashion.
Yeah, everybody thought you were one of the most inclusive figure in the politics, where there's a divisive politics going on. How are you going to include the community you represent, especially the Bangladeshi community, the other immigrant community, to follow your footpath?
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to make sure that I stopped by Juma was to make it clear to the Muslim American community and to the Bangladeshi American community that I stand behind you 100%, despite all the attacks on immigrants that we are seeing coming out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Right.
And that the Muslim American community and that the Bangladeshi American community are hardworking, entrepreneurial,
Right.
community-centered, spiritually grounded, and incredibly important to the fabric of the borough, the city, and the nation. And that we are going to not tolerate the type of horrific attacks that we recently saw on the two mosques in New Zealand, not in Brooklyn, not in New York City, not in the United States of America. And we will speak out against hate whenever and wherever we find it.
Okay, so you came here in the mosque today, and also, you know, there is a lot of critics about Trump, that after the New Zealand incident, which Masjid al-Noor killing incident, everybody, issued a statement and condemned this white supremacy, except President Trump. What is your reaction on it?
Well, it was incredibly unfortunate because in times of tragedy, we need leadership starting at the top. And the President of the United States of America has traditionally been the leader of the free world. And the absence of Donald Trump strongly and unequivocally condemning the two attacks on the mosque in New Zealand was a shameful stain on the presidency and reflected his continuing inability to show decency and compassion in the face of pain.
How do you think about the roles of the New Zealand Prime Minister? She became the iconic figure in the world as a human, as a good human person, as a friend of all color, all religion.
That is correct. The New Zealand Prime Minister was the contrary example of someone who stepped up, showed empathy, compassion, as well as decisive action
Right.
in terms of making it clear that in New Zealand, weapons of war were not acceptable.
Right.
and targeting immigrants and the Muslim American community was not acceptable, would not be tolerated, and things were going to be done to help stop those types of attacks from happening again.
You know, the New York Times editorial, they said, we need a leader like New Zealand, the Prime Minister, and if your constituent or Muslim community thought you are one of them, could be, make a difference, what would be your comment on it?
Well, it's an honor and a privilege to represent a community where I have such a close relationship, and whatever affection the community has developed in connection with the representation that I've tried to provide,
Right.
I share that affection in an exponentially significant fashion,
Right.
because it was just an honor to be initially elected in 2012 and work closely with Bangladeshi American community leaders,
Right.
as well as constituents, and the fact that the community has continued to place its trust in me
Right.
is humbling, and I look forward to doing everything I can to continue to justify that confidence.
Still, there is a fearness, and a lot of people, they're scared about their safety and security since the New Zealand incident happened. What would be your message to them?
Well, that the members of the House Democratic Caucus all across the country who have been visiting mosques in the weeks since, and I thought it was important to make sure that even as time has passed since that tragic incident in New Zealand, we will continue to make it clear to the Muslim Americans that we represent that we will stand with you in the immediate aftermath of something, as well as on a continuing basis moving forward. And here in New York City, we'll work closely with the mayor and the New York Police Department to make sure that they are affirmatively trying to detect threats,
Right.
and when those threats are detected, that the appropriate security measures are taken to ensure that people aren't targeted while worshiping.
The New York City politics, the Joe Crowley is no more. He loses his bid. The Alexandria Ocasio and some other Congressman Ilhan Omar and some other Congress members, they are the new fresh person, but they are making a lot of buzz. How you are feeling?
Well, there's 63 members of the freshman class. You mentioned two. All of them have come to Washington to try to contribute on behalf of their constituents. Alexandria, of course, is part of the New York delegation. And though we were all disappointed to see Joe Crowley go, we have traditionally embraced every new member, and we'll continue to work with Alexandria as she tries to do the right thing on behalf of her constituents.
You are the member of Congressional Caucus, as well as you are the member. So far, I understand you are the member of Bangladesh Caucus. As well,
I am.
In the Congress. The Bangladesh has a lot of things going on: election, human rights, government development, and all this stuff. How you evaluate the performance of government and the development and the opposition roles?
Well, I think what we want to make sure in Bangladesh and in other parts of the world that every country, every government is both trying to provide their people with an opportunity to achieve the middle class dream so that they can provide for themselves and their families in a comfortable way. And we need to make sure that progress on economic justice continues to happen in Bangladesh and moves in the right direction. The second thing that we have to ensure is that every country perfects its democracy.
Right.
And take steps to make sure that its citizens have the basic freedoms that we expect to enjoy here in the United States of America.
Since President Trump came into power, the DREAM Act, which is one of the very important law for the people who are living in this country. It's been a long time, especially the young people. They are absolutely helpless now because it's like hanging situation. What is the situation now? What is your role as well?
Well, the House Democratic Caucus, led by Nydia Velasquez, as well as
Yeah.
Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, recently introduced the DREAM Act to help address the situation that unfortunately has been caused by Donald Trump's unwillingness to continue the DACA program that President Obama
Right.
had put into place.
Right.
I'm a proud co-sponsor of that legislation. We expect that it will move out of the Judiciary Committee and onto the House floor at some point over the next month or two. And then we're going to work to get support in the Senate, so
Right.
that once and for all, we can place out of jeopardy the millions of dreamers throughout this country
Right.
who are American in any and every way possible, with the exception of the fact that they don't have that citizenship paper. These are people who were generally brought to the United States of America
Right.
at or under the age of 5, have grown up American, been educated as Americans,
Right.
have contributed to America, and deserve a pathway towards citizenship.
The President Trump, he also already imposed a new condition, which is if you give me the money for wall, I will sign the legislator, the DREAM Act. So what do you think about the future? Because the Democrat, they are not going to support the wall.
Yeah, in our view, one thing has nothing to do with the other.
Right.
And we have made clear that we are not going to support a medieval border wall. That is a 5th century solution to a 21st century problem. We did come together in a bipartisan way on meaningful border security measures that were enacted into law in February, and that provides a foundation for us to address with whatever border security challenges we have in the United States of America. Donald Trump's desire for a medieval border wall is based on a political promise that he made on the campaign trail, which related to Mexico paying for it. So if he wants to go build his wall, go convince Mexico to pay for it. He's failed to do it because there is no basis in reality connected to building a wall from sea to shining sea. And so it is irresponsible for Donald Trump to try to hold the dreamers of this country hostage so he can extract taxpayer money for a campaign applause line.
Do you think the Democrat can have this bipartisan, in Congress is, lower house is fine, but Senate?
Yeah, Congress is very divided,
Yeah.
but we were able to negotiate a bipartisan criminal justice reform bill
Right.
when no one thought that was possible. And so I believe we can do the same thing with respect to the DREAM Act.
People always thought you were one of the most critic of President Trump. Why?
Well, in my view, the president has been irresponsible in how he's conducted himself in terms of dividing the nation. We want to move the country forward. Donald Trump wants to turn back the clock. He promised on the campaign trail that he would protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, but then just recently introduced a budget that would cut $2 trillion from Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. He says one thing and does another. No one is immune from criticism in the United States of America. And so when Donald Trump does not do the right thing by the communities I'm privileged to serve, I will continue to call it out.
Thank you so much. And from Time Television, congratulations. দর্শক, এতক্ষণ আপনারা দেখলেন কংগ্রেসম্যান হাকিম জাফরির সাথে টাইম টেলিভিশনের এক্সক্লুসিভ সাক্ষাৎকার, টাইম এক্সক্লুসিভ অনুষ্ঠানে। আপনাদের এই সময়ের জন্য আপনাদেরকে অশেষ ধন্যবাদ। আগামীতে আবার দেখা হবে। ততক্ষণে সবাই ভালো থাকবেন এবং টাইম টেলিভিশনের সাথেই থাকবেন। খুদা হাফেজ।